Welcome guys, my name is Danish Amin. Today I'll be sharing 8 fantastic JavaScript tricks which will help you code faster, reduce the line of codes in your project, and will obviously save your time. So I'll just dive straight to VS Code and show you the tricks one by one. So let's just quickly start with trick number 1, that is short circuit evaluation. You might have used ternary operator before. As you can see on the screen, I have initiated two variables, that is age and result. Age I have set it to 50 and result holds a ternary operation. If this condition is true, then it will print out on the screen you are old, else it will print out on the screen you are still young. Let's just check it out quickly. As you can see, it's printing out on the screen you are still young. Let's clear it out and change age to 101. As you can see, now it's printing out you are old. That's how the traditional ternary operator goes. Our trick is somehow related to it, because sometimes situations can arise where you have to use ternary inside ternary. For example, you can check this line of code here. Here actually two ternary operations are going on. You can see that if this ternary operation has a truthy value, then this block of code will be executed, which in itself is a ternary operation. If this will give a falsy value, this will be returned, you are old. So that means sometimes ternary operations can get complicated and we have to write ternaries under ternaries under ternaries, something like that. Our trick number 1 solves this problem. We can use the AND and OR logical operators to evaluate certain expressions in an even more concise way. This is often called short circuiting or short circuit evaluation. So let me just quickly clear the screen and show you how we can do it. Okay, I've used 3 variables: loading, validation, and data from server. Why I've used these 3 variables, I'll show you in a bit. Firstly, let me create another variable named component. As most of the people nowadays use JavaScript frameworks like Vue.js and React.js, I'll be using their example to show how this trick can be useful in your realistic project. So this component has to return any JSX in React, but we'll not be using JSX right now. What we'll be doing, we'll be checking if the data from the server has been retrieved, then we have to print that out on the screen. If data from the server has not been returned and loading is still true, what we will show the loading screen to the user. So let me do this with an example. What I'll do, I'll use the OR operator. Firstly, I'll have to check if data from server has been retrieved. If data from the server has not been retrieved, what it will do, it will continue to the next operand, that is a string named still loading. And this can continue like this. For example, I'll set validation. So what we can understand from this is it will firstly check if the data from the server has been retrieved. If that doesn't have a falsy value like null or false or 0 or something like that, or undefined, then what it will do, it will continue to the next operand, that is validation. So it will check if validation doesn't have a falsy value, or we can say it will check if validation is true. If validation is true, what it will do, it will not evaluate these expressions. What it will do, it will break here and show the value of this this expression, which is truthy. Okay, so let me just directly show this to you. For example, data from the server is null, validation is false, so it will definitely show us still loading. So let me just run it. Oh, sorry, I have not saved it. So, oh, sorry, we have not logged this out. So let me just run it again. Yeah, it is showing still loading. Why it's showing still loading? Because firstly, it checked whether data from the server has been retrieved. If it has a truthy value, for example, let me show this to you. For example, if the data from the server was retrieved, an object was retrieved from the API with user as Danish. So what happens here? It will check if data from the server has been retrieved, and it will check, okay, the data from the server has been retrieved, and it will not continue with these operands. Let me just show you. As you can see, it's printing out on the screen user Danish. So why this happened? As you can see, friends, this is very, very useful in actual coding when you are doing this in your realistic project. Why? Because you don't have to write ternary under ternary under ternary, or if conditions under if conditions under if, or nested ifs, what we call them. So you don't have to do that. What you have to do is just use these two lines, that is the OR operator. So this will check for this first truthy value. So here in our condition, it is checking if data from the server has been retrieved. It's checking, yeah, data from the server has been retrieved, so it's returning this. If the data from the server was not returned, it will continue whether validations has been done. So if it will check false, so it will continue to this one. It will show this on the screen. Why it will show still loading? Because if every operand evaluates to false, the last evaluated expression will be returned. Okay, you have to remember it. If every operand evaluates to false, the last evaluated expression will be returned. Likewise, we can use the AND operator, which is also amazing. If OR operator gives us first truthy value, returns us the first truthy value, AND operator does its opposite. It returns the first falsy value. Let me just show you quickly how amazing it is. So what I'll do, I'll rename this variable to test. So we will check firstly, as I told you, that AND operator does opposite of the OR operator. So it will check for the first falsy value. For example, if I do something like this, validation and loading and data retrieved from server. So what it will do, it will check for the validation first. If it will see that this has a falsy value, what it will do, it will return this, it will break there. And if validation is true, if the response from the server is positive, that the validation has been successfully completed, what it will do, validation variable here will be set to true, and it will go to the next operand, that is loading. So it will check if the loading has now the falsy value. If loading is also true, what it will do, it will print out data retrieved from the server directly on the screen. Why? Because it's a string and that is a truthy value. And as I told you, if all the operands return a falsy value, what it will do, it will retrieve the data of the last evaluated expression, the value of the last evaluated expression. And in our case, it is this. So let me just quickly show you. Sorry, as the validation is false, it just broke there. So what I'll do, I'll just set it to true. So first it will now check this is also true, this is also true, and this will be retrieved. Let's check it out. Yeah, data retrieved from the server. So that concludes our trick number 1. I want you to check it yourself in your new project and see for yourself how time saving it is. So let's just continue to trick number 2 now. Trick number 2 is about leveraging from the destructuring assignment. The destructuring assignment syntax is a JavaScript expression that makes it possible to unpack values from arrays or properties from objects into distinct variables. I know it sounds confusing. Let me just show you directly what I'm talking about. So I have created a variable here named employees. It contains an object with first name, age, and scales in it. Scales is an array. So everybody destructures like this. As for those who know, they already know what destructuring means. But for those who don't know, well, with the destructuring syntax, developers are able to quickly unpack values from arrays or properties from objects into designated variables. Here, these designated variables are first name and age. What I'm doing, I'm getting first name and age and setting it to these variable names here from the employees object. So what I'll do, let me just console log them. First name and age. So let me run this. As you can see, Danish and 25 is printing out on the screen. But what actually I want to show you is that when it comes to arrays, most developers don't take advantage of the destructuring assignment at that time. So let me just quickly show you what our trick number 2 is all about. So this array skills has JavaScript on the 0th index, PHP on the 1st index, Node on the 2nd index, and Rust in the 3rd index. So I'll show you how powerful this destructuring assignment can be. So what I'll do, I'll get from employee dot skills. So I'll destructure from employee dot skills. So how we can do it, it's very easy but it's very powerful. So what I'll do, I'll say from the what's in the 0th index, I'll set it as JS. I'll set it inside JS variable, and what's in the 2nd index, I'll store that into node variable. So now if I console log JS and node, let me quickly save this file and run it. You can see JavaScript and node is printing out on the screen here. So I just want you to make use of this assignment, destructuring assignment. It is very powerful. If anybody wants to get more information about this, I'll paste the link in the description. He can check it out, how powerful this destructuring assignment can be. So that concludes our trick number 2. Let's continue to trick number 3. So our trick number 3 is about casting values in arrays using maps. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. What if a situation like this arises where you receive data from the API in form of strings and something like nested arrays, but you want to perform operation on these numbers, and you want this array to be flattened in numbers. All of the strings and nested array, the data in the nested array, all of them you want as numbers. So I'll show you a quick and easy trick which is very beneficial if sometimes a problem like this arises. So let me just quickly show you what you can do. I'll create another variable. So I'll name it casted, and all I want to do is to loop through all of the data using map and use the type of number. This leverages the map method of array, and by passing number as the parameter for each value in the array, it is going to call the constructor of the number and return the result. So in this case, the result will be, let me just show you. Let me just run this file again, and as you can see, the array has been flattened and all of the strings and the nested array value has been converted to numbers. So now we can perform the operations we want. We can add, multiply, subtract, or whatever we want to do, anything what we want to do. So this is a really easy solution and probably one of the easiest tricks in this video. This concludes our trick number 3. Let's just move on to our trick number 4 now. So our trick number 4 is about optional chaining. Let me just show you quickly how we can benefit from this trick. So I've created this same variable again named employee. This employee is an object having property of name, age, and callback. And callback stores an anonymous function in it which returns true. So let me just show you one thing, what optional chaining does and how it's beneficial to us. If I console.log employee dot name, let me just clear the console first. If I run this, you'll see it will print out Danish on the screen. Why? Because name property is available in the employee object. So if I try to access employee dot hometown, what this will do, it will return undefined. But if I access hometown.city, what it will do, it will throw an error. Why this will throw an error? Because hometown is undefined and it cannot access the city of undefined. So this is where our optional chaining operator is beneficial. So what if I do place a question mark here? What will this question mark do? This question mark is actually our optional chaining operator. So what this optional chaining operator does, for example, if hometown doesn't exist, what it will do, it will just break there and it will return undefined and will not proceed any further. Let me just log it and show you that now it will not throw any error. As you can see that it just returned undefined and it didn't throw any kind of error now. We can use this question mark as many times as we want. For example, if we want to access the area of that city, I can put the question mark here also, and if I save it and run it again, you'll see it will not throw the error. It will show undefined because as I told you, it will break here and will not proceed any further. What actually I wanted to show you is not this. Actually, I see open source code of many people on GitHub, and I see people make use of this optional chaining operator many times, but they don't use this for functions. Like I have, created an anonymous function here. Let me just show you how we can use this optional chaining operator on functions. Let me first delete this and type console.log again. And now what I'll do, I'll access employee dot callback. So this function is available. This callback has an anonymous function inside it. Let's just run this file. You'll see it will return true because I'm returning true here. But what if I say that I have this function named test? What will happen is this will throw an error. Why this will throw an error? Because test function doesn't exist. So it's very easy to use. What I'm going to show you, it's very easy. It's very powerful actually, because for example, in your application, in your React application, what you are doing is you firstly have to check whether this function is available or not. If this function is available, then you have to execute it. What you have to do, you don't have to you make use of ternary or if statements. What you have to do, you just have to put a question mark here with a dot. And now if I run it, you'll see it will not return any error. It will just return undefined. Okay, that was it for our trick number 4. Now just let's continue with our trick number 5. The trick number 5 is about filtering the unique values. Let me just show you directly what I'm talking about. For example, there may come a scenario where you have an array like this. I'll name it as numbers. I'll use 1, 5, 6, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10 and 5 again. So what if I tell you that I want the values of this array to be unique? How will you do it? We can do it the old school way, which will consume our time, or we can use the filter function, which is also a lifesaver here. But there's a quick and better way to achieve this. Let me show you. I'll create another variable here named unique. And I'll use the spread operator and create a new set here and pass our numbers to it. And let me just console.log unique. And now let me just save it. And now if I run this, you'll see that the array has only the unique values. How this happened is actually easy. JavaScript set is a collection of unique values. So here in our scenario, we wanted the unique values. So when we passed our array to the new set, so what it just did, it created a collection of unique values. Each value can only occur once in a set, and a set can hold any value of any data type. If you find it useful, you can use it anywhere in your application to get unique values immediately. So that concludes our trick number 5. Let's just continue with trick number 6. Trick number 6 is actually very easy. Throughout the project, we have to type hundreds of times one single function again and again, and that is console.log. With the help of this trick, you don't have to actually write console.log again and again. Instead, you do something like this. What we do is just simply create a variable named C and use console.log and bind this to our variable. What bind does here is actually it borrows the console.log function and places it into the variable named C. So whenever we in our project, somewhere in our project, use something like this, you can see it actually is the console.log we are calling. Let me just show you. If I type this is a test and save it and run this file, you can see that it's logging out. This is a test on the screen. This will definitely save some of your debugging time, where you don't have to type console.log again and again. You just call the C function and that's it. That concludes our trick number 6, and that was it for now, guys. If you want me to continue making videos like this, I want you to kindly subscribe to my channel, because this gives us some sort of energy to continue making videos. So I request you to kindly subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so that you get the notification whenever I upload the new video. Thank you, guys. Thank you.